Okay, and welcome back to the Big Three podcast. You already know what it is. I'm here with my good friend and co-host Brian Chow. How's it going, Brian?
Not bad, how are you?
I'm all right. So let's get right into it. Some but relatively big news out of the NHL, specifically
The Chow.
the Chell, specifically Buffalo and Mini. Uh, Eric Stahl is
Didn't
a
see that one coming in.
Buffalo. Yeah, I know. Eric Stahl is a Buffalo Sabres in exchange for Marcus Johansson. So, first of all, the facts. Both of these players are UFAs, so the teams just get the signing rights. And Stahl put up 19 goals and 47 points in 66 games, while Johansson only put up 9 goals and 30 points in 60 games. So, I mean,
I've got nothing to say with this deal. It's like just out of the blue. It's like it came out of nowhere. It's quite frankly, I don't know. I'm not like some Brian Burke type guy, so it's not like I can really dive that deep into it. Like I don't like from first glance, I don't really understand the deal, to be honest. Cause like
yeah,
I mean, the Sabres they kind of need that like solid like second line center. Because obviously Middlestat hasn't been doing it. Like really, that the only player on their team is Jack Eichel, and obviously it says to have some help on the O line there. Because I mean, their blue line's pretty solid with Ristolainen and Dahlin there. So I guess they really have nobody on their offense though. It's just Jack Eichel and so God knows who else is there. Because traded away to Alex Nylander.
yeah.
Unless Case and Middlestat can somehow turn it around, you got Dylan Cousins coming up, but he's not going to be like some superstar second liner right off the bat.
Yeah.
So I guess this makes sense. Like obviously, as you said again, just signing rights. So maybe like a 1 or 2 year bridge deal. Like that's not a bad move. I at first glance didn't understand it, but now that you dive deeper into it, it kind of makes sense for the Buffalo Sabres here.
Yep. I
And
think so too.
obviously, new management is trying to make some new moves, like make off an impression, right? So.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's pretty clear who won the deal. The Sabres, they completely slayed it. 19 goals and 47 points in 66 games versus 9 goals and 30 points in 60 games. So,
I guess I don't know. I guess Minnesota just wants to make way for their prospects coming up. Maybe try one of those new guys out this year on the fourth line or something and move everyone up.
yeah, but I
So
mean,
obviously, because
why
I don't
Marcus
know.
Johansson?
Sure, I have no clue.
Huh.
See if Kevin Fiala can carry the load on offense next year.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, not much there. I still have no idea why that trade happened at all. But, yep. And now let's move on to a bit of a continuation of a trade we looked at last time. So, obviously, the Edmondson for the conditional pick trade that we talked about in the last episode. Joel Edmondson has been signed to a 4-year deal worth $3.5 million annually, so $14 million in all. And that's what the Montreal Canadiens did yesterday. So,
Good
like we
move
said,
by Bergevin.
yep, I
Like,
think so too. You got this guy, and he's obviously a really solid defenseman. 27-year-old only, 7 goals, 20 points, 68 games, and he's a really solid defensive player. So I mean, they got him for a conditional pick, which is I still don't know what the condition on the pick is, but
it's a really good deal in general, though, because obviously they have an H and D core. They have Shea Weber's getting up there in age, and it's gonna start becoming a pretty bad contract soon. You got Jeff Petry's getting old too, so like you got those two solid guys, but I don't see them being serviceable more than 2-3 years. And then now you got to wait on Alexander Romanov, who's like questionable for the next year with everything that's going on in the world right now. So I guess
yeah,
you bring in a good guy like Edmondson here. He'll be serviceable for another 5, 6, even 7 if you get lucky. Year. So this is a really good deal. You got them for a pretty cheap deal. It was like 2 or 3 million annually. So
3.5.
yeah, 3.5. So Not too shabby, Bergevin. Pretty good deal.
Yep, I think so too.
And again, they had a boatload of picks too, so just offloading some, unleashing them, good
Yep.
move.
Yeah, I mean, he like you said, he can definitely be a part of their future too. He's only 27, and he's
Mhm.
signed to a relatively long term deal, 4 years. So that would take him till he's 31, and from there they can reassess.
Yeah, so on the backbone of his deal, he's gonna start playing when like the halves start getting a bit more competitive. I think they'd probably be like in contention for like third or second place in the Atlantic. By then, we've obviously got if you have Nick Suzuki on the path he's on right now, Romanov's gonna be up, Caulfield's gonna be up. Their draft picks for the next few years, obviously. Um, they're not going to get a super solid player in this year's draft, but who knows what they can steal? It's obviously another loaded draft class, so yeah,
Yep.
we'll see how they play it out.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go back. This happened early yesterday. Matt Dumba, he is being shopped by the Minnesota Wild, who look to be offloading a lot of players because they already moved Eric Stahl. And this is coming from Michael Russo at the Athletic HQ. So obviously, Matt Dumba, he is a star defenseman, 26 years old, 3 years left, $6 million annually.
Good deal.
Yep, solid deal, really. And he's just a really good defenseman that I think a lot of teams would be looking for.
Great leader too.
Yeah, he is a great leader, and we've seen what he's done with the.
Whole BLM thing. So
Yep, exactly. And I mean, the Leafs have been looking into him for a really long time, and if he really is available, you'd be expecting them to be standing right at the door to try to
see,
get
that's
him.
interesting though because the Leafs have obviously been linked to Pietrangelo and stuff, but if we do get him, it would be on a cheaper deal towards probably $5-6 million. So would you go out there and grab Pietrangelo or Dumba here? It's up to Kyle Dubas, but either way, I feel like if you were to grab a defenseman, I feel like you'd be more lenient to grabbing Pietrangelo unless you go somewhere else. I feel like a deal like this, he'd have to wait off till Pietrangelo's completely gone because we'd have to give up a lot for Dumba. And like, what are we really gonna give up right now, right? Because our roster's loaded. I don't like. We already got rid of Cappy. Who else are we gonna give away now? Like,
I
I
mean,
guess
the first round
Johnson's
pick.
like the first round pick, Johnson. But those two won't be enough to get it. Maybe throw in a second, but then I feel like then we're giving up too much.
I mean, it's Matt Dumba. I don't think adding a second on. I don't even know if that's enough for him, to be honest. But
It won't be.
the
I'm
thing
just saying
is,
because like you know what the Leafs do with their young prospects. Like they
yeah,
turn
I
them into
know.
stars.
But like Alex Pietrangelo is not gonna come to the Leafs for 5-6 million. He is reportedly asking for
It's probably
9 to 10 million.
he'll
So
be in that range. I'm just saying if he does choose like he knows everyone knows what's happening on in Toronto. He's gonna have to take a cheaper deal if that means coming back and fulfilling his dream, playing for his hometown team.
yep. But I don't know if he would take. Like, I mean, he's at the
I
tail end
don't
of his career. Actually, no, not the tail end, but he's coming.
around it.
Yeah, but so like he wants to go to a team that can win. Toronto can obviously win. Um, well, they should be able to
They
obviously
should
win,
be able to win.
but I mean, Petrangelo is a player who would push them over the top. But I still don't think he. First of all, I still don't think he leaves St. Louis, and second of all, I don't think the Leafs have nearly enough cap space to be able to get a guy of that caliber. Like another $10 million player is just out of the question.
Yeah, and it's just like I don't know. We're, like there's no cap flexibility for the next 2 years too. So
Yep.
it just
And what's
doesn't.
his name? I think Matt Dumba, 3 years. If it really gets into a dire situation where you can't keep him anymore, you can trade him in that last year. I think any team would really want a guy like this.
If
So there's
anything,
that.
flip into like a team like the Canadiens where it's like they're starting to go in contention, but they're young guys. Like Suzuki's gonna be on a cheap deal by then. Still will. Caulfield and Romanov will be on their cheap rookie deals still. So I guess you flip into a team like the Canadiens. Like I'm not saying it would necessarily happen because obviously we're fierce rivals, but it's like just an idea out there because obviously like that's when they're starting to go into contention. So you flip a team to like Montreal, who'd probably taken, Bergevin's really aggressive with his deals and stuff too. So
Yep. And I mean, so I personally would love for it to happen. They somehow get Dumba. They'd obviously be giving up a lot, but
Oh yeah, for sure.
Dumba, he is honestly the perfect defenseman really for the Leafs.
Uh
Um,
huh.
he, I'd love for him to be. He would just be such a big part, and he might honestly be the type of piece they need to push them over the top.
Especially on the decor, right? Because Lehtinen, obviously, like we all know, he's a great defenseman and stuff. But coming over, you never know what's gonna happen. It's a smaller rink and everything like that. So there's just a bunch of factors. It's a completely different game from Europe to here. So who knows what can happen? Logren's still a bit iffy. Obviously, he couldn't stick up here. We know what Sandin can do, but obviously he's still young. Could have a down year comparing it to baseball. You have like someone like Cody Bellinger who had a great rookie year, but obviously second year couldn't really capitalize in the show, right? So we'll
Yeah,
see.
and
So it's like our decor, it's good on paper, but honestly, like when it comes to showtime, it could be a very, very risky decor. I think adding someone like Dumbo who is gonna add stability and he's gonna be a number one star there with Morgan Riley. That'd be a great move.
yep, and also, I mean, now the Leafs, if Dumba really is available, they have two options in Pareko and Dumba, maybe even Josh Manson. So that's three options there.
Mm-hmm.
They're all around the same level. I think they're all around the same age, 26, 27, 28.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's three options that they could all go for. Personally, my personal favorite would be Matt Dumba because he's just that kind of player.
Either one
But
of those three just would be amazing either way, though, because I don't think the Leafs don't really need another leader because it's like you already have Johnny T as your captain, so what's that going to do? He's a boring little guy. That's why. So I don't know if it would really make a difference. I think right now it's just getting a quality player. So
yeah,
either one of those three, I wouldn't care.
yep, I would definitely be happy with any one of those three. All right, how about we move on? So
Mm-hmm.
Alexander Ovechkin, he obviously has his what's his thing? His extension coming up in a couple years. Sorry, not a
Mm-hmm.
couple years. Next year after. So he is reportedly asking for like at least $12 million.
Jesus.
I know, right? So,
I
uh,
think that's a bit overboard, buddy.
yeah, he's
It's a
asking for
super
5 years too, which at his
five
age is
years. Yeah,
kind of
no, I don't think
crazy.
anyone would take that. Like, no, not even the Caps would take that. Honestly, I think they're smart. They'd rather let him fly. So obviously,
Yeah,
Ovi, like, you don't want to see him in another jersey. Like, it's just weird. It's just like, again, like, do you really want to sign him for 5 years, $60 million? I don't think so.
yeah. It's I'm not sure it's worth it either, but he's Alexander Ovechkin, and he has proved he has all. I mean, he really does have the leverage because he's just put in put up numbers year after year after year. So, I mean, the Capitals really can't say you're not going to be good anymore because he's shown that even at his age right now, he is
Even
still,
at 35.
yeah, he's still a really solid player. All right. Um. So latest news, just a couple hours ago, Nicholas Obey Kubel.
Yep,
Uh,
extension.
Yep, he was extended with the Philadelphia Flyers. So I went to a Flyers Penguins game, which I absolutely loved. First of all, because there was a lot of fights. You know how that happens. And this guy, he was one of them. I don't know, actually no. Well, he was definitely in there, in some kind of way. He's a pretty solid player, just offensively too. Put up 3 points in the playoffs for 12 games that they had him. He's a fourth liner, so that is pretty solid, I think, for a fourth liner. And in 36
hmm
games only he played this year in the regular season, he put up 15 points, so almost half a point per game. So
And for his role, that's very good.
yeah, I think that is solid. And he's only 24, and he's only making 1.075 million per year for another 2 years. So really
Good
solid
deal.
signing for the Flyers. Yep.
hmm
Um, some more news out of Vegas. The Golden Knights had an offer for Derek Englund at the trade deadline, but he wanted to stay in Vegas. So I don't know if he'd want to do that anymore. It's a different. situation now. I don't know if he'll want to move or not.
Vegas just screwing up the relationship with all their players, apparently.
Well, yeah, but he wanted to stay, so I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Either way,
Yeah,
however they want to go, eh?
yeah. Um, I think for the most part. Oh, Dustin Bufflin, he's hit free agency. He's not staying around with the
Well, no
Jets.
surprise there.
Yeah, there's no surprise at all. And I think. Oh, the Winnipeg Jets. They have named their interim coach, their head coach. That's about all.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, you want to move on to the MLB here?
Yep. Let's move on to some MLB.
All right, so at the time of this recording, it's September 17th, 2020. So September baseball is in full effect, 2 weeks out from the playoffs starting in the wild card games. So yeah, so things are starting to ramp up now. The playoff cards starting to, or the playoff seedings and stuff are starting to come out. So far, the Dodgers have clinched. They clinched yesterday. I think the White Sox clinched earlier today, and then literally just 2 minutes ago, the Tampa Bay Rays just clinched. Yeah, so we got three teams clinching right now. A couple of teams to look out for. So those three are in the playoffs for sure now. If you take a look at some magic numbers, so the Rays obviously just clinched. The Yankees, 6 games to clinch, what's it called? A playoff spot, 15 to clinch the division. So I don't think that's going to happen. Obviously, they're getting some big wins over the Blue Jays right now this series. They've been dominating the Jays this series right now. So that's solidifying their push. But right now, 2 weeks ago, they're I think around how many is that? That's 8 games behind the Rays for first in the division. I think the Rays, they're just a better team in general too, in my opinion. Tampa. So I think Tampa is just gonna pull with the division here, and then the Blue Jays are 8 games out too. So I think the Blue Jays are gonna end up with a wild card spot here too, especially because it's a 16 team format this year, so 8 in each thing. So right, so and then you got the White Sox who clinched too. The Twins and Indians are gonna get in, and then I think the A's and Astros will too. So I
I
think
mean,
the 8 teams will be the Yankees, Jays, Rays, Sox, Twins, Indians, A's, and Astros.
yeah. I mean, there's still a bit of a fight for the wild card. Um,
Eh, it's kind of clear cut. Like maybe the only argument I can make is maybe the Mariners.
yeah, they may make it up, but
But then
it's
again, they're 6 games behind the Indians and the Jays, who have the last 2 wildcard spots locked down right now. So I
yeah.
think
So it's a
with only
gap.
2 weeks to go, unless they had won every single game and like either one of the Jays and Indians lose every single game, it's pretty much clear cut. Like the playoff picture's set, really.
All right.
The West is the NL is where it gets interesting a bit, kind of. No NL teams except for the Dodgers are clinched yet. So you got the Braves 6 out, 6 out. Okay, so obviously the whole NL East complexion in general is going to be very interesting to watch. Obviously, you got the super tight NL East. You got the Braves, Marlins, Phillies, Mets that can all battle it out right now. And then you got, again, the Central is really competitive too. The Reds have kind of made a comeback. Kind of. They're second in the NL Central right now. They're 12 games out of a playoff spot. So the Cubs are going to clinch in a couple days. Same as the Braves. You're going to clinch in a couple days. Right, so you got those three down. The Padres are going to clinch, so that's 4 teams. So now it's really a race now. So it's between the Giants. Maybe the Rockies can make a late push. Maybe. 5, you got the Cardinals can make a push. The Brewers, maybe. The Reds are going to make a push. And then you got the Marlins, Phillies, and Mets. So in total, that's around take like 6 or 7 teams battling it out for playoff spots. So really keep your eyes out for the NL because it's not so clear cut like the AL right now.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that the AL has a big, yes,
Big skill gap.
yeah, skill gap. So Yeah, I mean, it. I don't want to say it's becoming like the NBA and the MLB, but that's the kind.
It's completely different though because like the NL is really like it's not it's not like the AL where it's just a bunch of concentrated super good teams, right? So like the good teams in the AL, it's the Rays, the Yankees, the White Sox, the Twins, the A's, the Astros. Those six teams are six of the top 10 teams in the whole MLB. It's just the gap under that where you got the Royals, the Tigers, the Rangers, right? The Orioles, the Red Sox. You have five of the worst teams in the whole MLB. So it's just so like the NL where it's like, yeah, you still have the best team in all of baseball. You got the Dodgers and you have a top 10. You have you got three top 10 teams in the Braves, Cubs, and Padres, but it's like a lot of them are like around the middle where they're good enough. They're like I don't like they're really good at that. Like I mean, sorry, they're still good enough to like come out of nowhere and surprise you. Like the 2014 San Fran Giants that won it all. So it's just super competitive, and I know it's not like a super big skill gap like the NBA.
All right, fair. Is that all?
Yeah, but it's just yeah. So just keep your eyes out for the NL again. The divisions don't really matter this year because it's an eight team format this year, so it really doesn't matter by division, right? So the Braves are going to take in the NL East, the Cubs are going to take the Central, the Dodgers already took the West, so it's just really the playoff matchups now. It's just the wild card matchups.
All right. So, is that all?
I think that should be, and just stay tuned for a 2020 MLB prediction video
Yep, we'll be
soon.
talking about that for sure. Some pretty big news out of the IIHF. The World Juniors are finally gonna be back.
In
Next
a
year.
while.
Yep. They're gonna be doing a bubble in Edmonton. So the same bubble that the
The Chosen, right?
the same Western bubble that the NHL is in right now. Um, so that's obviously awesome to see. We'll get to see some minor hockey. Or sorry, not minor. Junior hockey. It's always fun to have like that national
What's the
pride.
next stars?
Yeah, watch the
Next
next
stars
stars.
emerge. Yeah.
Yep. So there's still obviously going to be no spectators, and
Mm-hmm.
they also have that lower division tournament. So like the smaller countries, not as good teams. But I mean, it's still going to be fun to see the main tournament. And yep,
Yeah,
that's
I
about
just
all.
can't wait for that. Like the World Juniors, it's one of my favorite. Not even hockey, just sports events of the whole year. Like if I had to rank it, honestly, I find the NBA Finals quite boring because it's way too predictable.
Yeah,
Right. So if I had to make a top five list, it'd be the World Series, the Stanley Cup, and then it would be the Super Bowl, and then you have the World Juniors really, and
yep.
then
March
this year
Madness.
it would have been March Madness, yeah, depending on the teams that are playing.
Yeah,
And then obviously you got the Olympics roll around every 2 years. That's always exciting. Other than that, yeah, those five would probably be my favorite. I don't know about you. What would you rank them?
well, I obviously had the NHL, the Stanley Cup first because
The Stanley Cup's always number one on everyone's list, right?
yeah,
So
I mean,
it'd be the
other than
Stanley
like
Cup. Playoff baseball is pretty entertaining, so that's number one. Number two, then I'd have to put the Super Bowl third. You, Gosh?
um, I probably put the World Series second, depending on what teams, obviously. Like
Mm-hmm.
um, the uh, depending on the young talent, the World Juniors are obviously they're always amazing. Um, the World Cup of Hockey, if NHL players do go, isn't as much fun because it's pretty
They
much
won't because they're coming back to the Olympics. Sorry.
yeah, but it's just clear cut that Canada is gonna win pretty much. But it's still fun to see players like Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid. If we could see them play on the same line for even 2 minutes, that'd be absolutely
Yeah,
amazing.
that'd be nuts.
Yeah,
That'd be like 3 goals in 1 minute, right? It's just
probably.
it's complicated, right? Because it's the round robin and super boring unless you have unless you have Canada, Sweden, Russia, and U.S. all in the same pool. Boring, right? But I
Yeah,
think it's the World Juniors and the Olympics. It's like once you get around to the quarters and the semis, that's when it gets interesting, right?
Yeah,
Because that's when you get matchups like Canada, Russia, Canada, Sweden, USA, Canada. That's like the big thing every year, right? So
yeah,
it's
there's
once you
that for
get
sure.
this, it's super fun because it's like honestly, Canada wins every year, but honestly, some of the dubs they have kind of questionable. Should they be winning every year?
Oh, they didn't win
I don't
last
know
year.
because they should be winning every year. It's just a lot of the games give you heart attacks and stuff. It's like it's really tense and stressful and stuff like that to watch.
Yeah,
So
because I mean,
it's really good hockey games out there.
yeah, and it's also like the NBA. It's you have that chance like over 100 times a game you can go down. So, okay, not over 100, but you can go down. And you have a chance to score. With the NHL, you got to be a lot more, or hockey. I mean, you got to be a lot more opportunistic. The same thing with baseball. You got to be opportunistic. It's
I
not.
think that's why we have those two at the top too, right? Because it's just the biggest underdog playoffs, right? It's just the most fun because you could have a 7 and 8 seed battling it out in the World Series or the Cup Finals, right?
Yep,
So,
exactly.
so it's not like basketball where it's like you revolve around one or two players. Like, don't get me wrong, I love basketball, but honestly, last year was the only playoffs I sat down and watched every single game, and that's because my hometown Raptors was in it. It's not like the Stanley Cup Finals where it's like it doesn't matter what two teams. It could be the Bruins and the Kings. I'd still watch it.
Yeah, because it's just gonna be exciting hockey every single time.
Yeah, it's gonna be fast paced, and then baseball they ramp it up a notch in pace and like intensity and everything like that. So it's like it doesn't matter. Same with football. Any two teams I'd watch. It's just basketball. It just gets repetitive. Everyone knows who's gonna win. It's
Yep.
never really like I don't remember the last time an underdog won. I don't even remember the last time an underdog made the NBA Finals in general. So
Yeah, that is true. I'm trying to think.
yeah, not in the 2010s there hasn't been, except
Yeah,
maybe the
exactly.
Mavs. Except the Mavs
Yeah,
in
the Mavs.
2012.
Yeah,
But like that was 8 years ago.
yeah, and also, well, once you get into the playoffs, they didn't they didn't have
Uh,
that much success where they made it interesting in the finals or something like that. So,
so I don't remember. Anyways, I think that should be it today.
yep, Brian, you want to sign us out?
Sure. Okay. So once again, just thank you for tuning in today. Make sure to follow us on Spotify and Instagram. Send us a DM on Instagram. Comment on our post below. We keep you guys updated a lot there with our posts and Instagram stories and stuff like that. We haven't been doing that good of a job the last 2 weeks, so we apologize for that. We'll get back to the grind though. If you're on YouTube, make sure to comment, leave your thoughts below, and subscribe and like, please. It help us out a ton. So yeah, so I think that should be all on behalf of me and Akash. Thank you. Have a good day. There